What's good, savages? Welcome to another episode of This Savage Life. Before we keep going, please take some time to go subscribe to my channel. If you've done so already, thank you. It's greatly appreciated. It really helps a lot. If you're not familiar with my videos, you can go ahead before you keep watching this one and go watch the other ones, maybe so you can get an idea of the type of things that I talk about here on this show. And again, I just sit here and I go through my thoughts, and yeah, that's about it. I guess I'll get right into it. When I was 34 years old, 10 years ago, I hit rock bottom, for me anyway. And it was a turning point in my life. Every single morning I woke up, went to a job I hated, sat in a cubicle all day, stared at a computer, and every single day I went to work, I hated myself a little bit more every single day. Because I couldn't understand why I was letting myself come to a place that was making me so unhappy, that brought me nothing positive in life. I was just unhappy, like a lot of people, I think. I don't want to assume anything, but I know a lot of people, every single day they go to a job they hate, and I can understand that. Because sometimes you get stuck in a situation where the priority is to get a paycheck. You're either in a situation where you need to support someone or support yourself. It's rent to pay, it's food to buy. As consumers, we get carried away sometimes and we spend way above our means, and again we get trapped in these jobs that bring nothing into our lives except for anxiety, stress. And I did that for many years until one day my body couldn't take it anymore. I was on my way home on the train, and I just had, for the first time, this massive panic attack, just uncontrollable. I had to sit down. I thought I was dying. I really was. And I didn't know what was going on with me. I couldn't understand. I just snapped. And I walked straight out of that train when I got to my station and drove myself straight to the medical clinic. Saw a doctor right away and just broke down when she asked me what was wrong with me. I just didn't know how to explain it to her. So I just broke down, sobbing, trying to make sense of what was going on right now, because I was losing my mind. I felt like I was losing my mind. And she knew right away what it was, or what she thought it was anyway. And after a short conversation, the first thing she did, told me I needed to take some time off work. So she took care of that for me. And then she went on to prescribe me 4 or 5 different medication right away. I never ended up taking any of those medications. I just didn't trust myself with those, and I just frankly I'm not that guy. I don't even take Advil or Tylenol. I don't take anything over the counter. I'm just not a pill guy. That's not me. And I thought about it real hard at first, though, because I knew it would make this feeling, this depression, this anxiety go away. And immediately after a few days of me not going to work, I kind of realized that I was feeling a lot better, because I didn't have this stress over my head of going somewhere every morning where I felt like I was just wasting my time, my potential. And it's in those following weeks, when I had no other choice but to sit down and really analyze and reflect on what had happened to me, why I was in, why it happened to me, not only the thing happened to me, but why it happened to me. And then I realized that I would be forced to make changes in my life because I could never let that thing happen again. I could never let myself get to a point where I physically break down uncontrollably because of the stress or because of the unhappiness, I guess, in my life. It forced me to make a lot of changes in my life, and that's where everything kind of started for me. That's where everything started for me. That's where the shift in my mindset started, because I realized that I just couldn't keep going like this anymore. No matter how important the money was, no matter how important that comfort of knowing that every 2 weeks I get a paycheck. Now, in my situation, I was lucky enough that a few months after that, I left that job and immediately started moving in a different direction. I knew that I wasn't the person that could just sit in a cubicle in front of a computer all day. That wasn't me. I realized that I was trapped in this direction that I was going to because I thought I wanted certain things in my life. I thought I wanted a certain way of life. I guess I was refusing to accept who I really was, and I was trying to head myself in a different direction because I saw a lot of people that were heading in that direction, that were cementing a life in that direction, and they all seemed happy. They all seemed content. The goals seemed all the same. Get a good job, get a nice car, get a house, kids, and then just keep building off that. And I would see people that were heading in that direction, and I would go visit them, or I would go out to dinner with them, and they drove the nice cars and they had the big houses. And I thought to myself, yeah, that's the progression in life. And you kind of get lost in it. And then I got to a point in my life where I realized that that wasn't the direction for me. I couldn't follow everybody else. I couldn't follow everybody else in that direction. I had to stop, identify who I was, identify the things that I needed to correct in myself so that I can move in my own direction, that I could start building my own dreams, start chasing my own goals, live the life that I wanted to live, not live the life that I thought that I was meant to live, not live the life that I thought I wanted, that I saw others having. I got tricked into believing that that's what I wanted, because for the most part, everybody else was kind of heading in that direction. It's like you're following the masses, right? I think it's a big part of the discussion in society nowadays. A lot of people feel like there's just too many people following the same direction, mindless, no purpose. And when I went through that, when I was 34, it shifted my mindset. It forced me to make changes in my life. Now, some people will go through these types of experiences and they'll never, ever make any changes. They'll sit, they'll go through the anxiety, the depression, and they'll live with it because they're unwilling They're unwilling to do the work that's needed in order to get out of that. Because it's like you don't get to that point where I was when I was 34, that point of that broke me. You don't get to that point immediately. It's not like a fast descent. It's a slow, it's like you're digging a hole with a garden shovel. You know, those little shovels, you know, that you're just like working in your flowers. It's now you're trying to dig a huge hole with just that. So it takes time. You're digging yourself into a hole very slowly. So slow sometimes that you don't really realize that you're slowly sinking into a hole of darkness and despair. You're just so distracted by the shiny things that you don't realize where you're heading. And I'm not saying everybody heads in that direction. Everybody's different. People can do that type of work, live that type of life, and never get to a point where I was broken and where I needed to make a change. Or I don't even want to think what the alternative would have been if I didn't make that change. I can honestly think it would have. I don't want to be dramatic and say I don't think I would be here right now, but I think it's a possibility. So I'm grateful that that happened to me, and I'm grateful that I had the instinct, the intuition, the realization that if I didn't make a drastic change in mindset, in direction, that I was going to end up pretty useless for my kids, my wife. But again, you don't get to that point instantly. It's a gradual decline. So when you get to the point like I did, where you decide, you make a choice to dig yourself out of this hole, to change direction, to move, to start making changes in your life so that you could become better, so that you can become a better version, so that your output into this world is a more positive one for your kids, your family. And because it's not an immediate descent, because it is a gradual one, it's also a gradual one when you're digging yourself out of that hole. When you're digging yourself out of that hole, it's not immediate. You're not going to just one day wake up and say, look, I made the decision to not be depressed anymore. I made the decision to not be anxious anymore. That's not how it works. That's not how my mind works anyway. I couldn't just tell my brain, don't feel like that anymore. Don't think those things. Don't be so negative. I couldn't. That's not how it works. So I had to figure out ways to trick my brain into stopping the negativity, into stopping the self-doubt, into stopping the laziness, the jealousy, the envy, the resentment, the hate. I had to trick myself. I had to figure out a way to slowly dig myself out. And I wasn't going to do it by just telling myself, don't do those things. That doesn't work. One of the reasons why I work out like I work out is because I started realizing how it affected my mental health. I use exercise, running, working out, lifting weights, learning new movements, pushing my body to its limits. I do those things because they trick my mind into feeling more confident, more useful. And I use the word trick here, but it doesn't really trick. That's just what it does. That's the purpose. I do hard things almost every single day. I push myself every single day. Every single day, I try to do something that I really don't feel like doing. Most of those days, it's pretty easy because most of those days, that thing that I really don't want to do is to go for that run or to go to the gym to get that workout in. Because most of the time, I've already put in 8 hours of work. I'm tired, hungry, unmotivated. I just want to sit down, turn on ESPN, watch all the highlights that I've already watched on my phone, but watch them all again and just sit there drinking my coffee and relaxing. But that's not what I do. I force myself to do something that I really don't want to do. And then I do that thing as hard as I possibly can, most times. And by doing those things, by working out when I don't feel like it, by going for a 10K run when I don't feel like it, when I do those things, they give me a sense of accomplishment. They fill my body with all sorts of chemicals that make me feel good about myself. That's right. That's what it does. And the more you do those things, the more you're going to start paying attention, the more you're going to start realizing that mornings aren't that tough anymore. I wake up and the first thing I do immediately is something that I really don't want to do every single day. And that is I walk over to my shower, turn it on to the coldest possible setting, and then I jump into that shower for 3 minutes. Every single morning, it is the first thing I do. And every single morning when I wake up, when that alarm goes off, and I wake up, the first thought that pops into my head is, I don't want to, maybe today I should just skip it. I don't want to be cold right now. I don't want to get into that shower. Every single morning, as I walk over to the shower, every single step I take, I go, no, not today. Just go make coffee, skip it. You'll do it tomorrow. You've done it so many days in a row. Just take one day. You don't need to. Every single day. I'm not kidding. I'm not lying. I'm not exaggerating. Every single morning. But every single morning, I force myself to go into that shower, turn it on at the coldest possible, and jump in there for 3 minutes. It's the first thing I do every morning. And immediately I feel great after. Immediately I feel, okay, I did one thing I really didn't want to do today. And I don't know if you've taken a cold shower first thing in the morning, but most days it's probably the hardest thing you're going to have to do because, going to work doesn't seem that awful anymore after. And you might think, come on. But it's true. The more I force myself to do hard things I don't want to do, things I don't feel like doing, the more I am completely filled gratitude, and just things that make me happy. Because accomplishing something that you didn't want to do makes you feel good about yourself. Can't really trick your mind to think any other way. When you push yourself to do something you really don't want to do, when you push yourself to do something that's extremely difficult, and then when you start attaching that to delayed gratification and you start working towards a goal that you know is going to take a long time to accomplish, and every day you wake up and you work on that goal, knowing that today is not the day you will accomplish that goal, and tomorrow is not going to be the day, and in 3 months is not going to be the day, and in 6 months and in a year. If you're able to continuously push yourself to work for something that you can't really see or feel right now, but you can only imagine, every single day you get to do that, and I guarantee you, you won't have a choice to shift your mindset. You won't have a choice to shift your direction, to start making changes. Because that's where it all begins. Changes. You got to make changes in your life. Some of us just refuse to make changes because of the comfort we feel, even though we might be depressed or anxious. The work that hasn't been done yet is a lot of the time the thing that stops us, because it scares us. It scares us because we see it as we see it like a mountain where you can't see the peak, you know? You're like, I can't climb that. That's too hard. There's too many things I need to do to dig myself out of this hole. I'm just going to sit here. Maybe I can stop digging, but I'm not willing to put in the work. And sometimes, just working on yourself every single day, spending time to reflect, sit down and think about the things that you know are wrong about you, that are not morally correct, that are faults. Sometimes just working towards fixing those faults or becoming aware is the thing that you didn't want to do that day, but that you forced yourself to do. Sometimes it's just sitting down and acknowledging that you need to make a change. That's where it starts. That's the first thing. That's the hardest thing, is sitting down and admitting that you are who you are in that moment with all your qualities and all your faults. And that the faults are where you need to focus on correcting and fixing, so that you can gain new qualities, so you can shift your mindset, gain a different perspective. And it all starts by acknowledging that you are who you are, that you are not this person that you want to be, that you convince yourself that you are. Just because you dress nice, just because you're able to afford expensive clothes, just because you're able to afford expensive cars, just because you have a huge house, that doesn't mean that you're happy. It doesn't mean that you're successful. Not in my view, anyway. For me, success is completely different. It used to be that, and I used to chase that. The material things would make me successful. If I'm able to dress myself in expensive clothes and buy the expensive shoes and get the nice expensive car and be able to afford the mortgage and the house, that meant I was successful. No matter how unhappy, anxious, or stressful depressed, getting all those things made me. I quickly realized that in order to get all those things, I was going to have to do a lot of things I just didn't want to do. That a lot of things that were going to make me stressed, anxious, and depressed. And I wasn't willing to sacrifice my well-being mentally just so I could get a shortcut to the things I wanted. Because I'll get those things. I will. I'll get that house. Right? I'll get the nice car. Yeah, and I'll be successful, but I'll do it on my terms. I'll do it my way. But before I can get there, I know I need to fix certain things about myself. And I know that the work is long, the progress is slow, but that doesn't stop me. Every single day is a grind. That's why I don't take days off. It's every day. You got to get to work every single day. No excuses. No matter how you feel, don't ever let your feelings dictate your work ethic. Don't ever let that happen. The moment you start letting your feelings dictate your work ethic is the day you start failing. Because you're never going to feel like it. If you're driven like I am, you get to a point where you're so tired, you never feel like it. But you push yourself, you sacrifice. And along the way, you can't forget to be grateful for the things that you are, who you are, the things that you have, the progress that you've made, the road that you've traveled, everything. You have to be grateful for everything. You have to be grateful for the things that you have that others would die to get. Some days I'm just grateful that I get to get up in the morning and walk all day, because some people don't get to get up and walk. I'm grateful for my abilities, and I'm grateful for the possibilities that I get to work out. I get to do it. I'm able to do it physically. There's people out there that aren't physically able to work out. No matter how bad they want it, they'll never be able to work out. I get to work out. I'm grateful for the opportunity to just sit here and express myself and try to inspire others. Try to inspire a shift in mindsets and perspective. I'm grateful for that. I get to do that. I don't have to do that. I get to do it. Some people don't get to do it. The deeper I get into this journey, the more I self-reflect, the more I pay attention to everything around me. The more I realize that if you're not intentionally trying to be your best version, you're failing this world, you're failing society, you're failing. And I know it sounds harsh, I really do. I'm not here pointing fingers because I understand how hard it is, but I think your existence makes a difference. I think everyone's existence makes a difference. Does it make a positive difference, or does it make a negative difference? And that's not for me to say, but I think it's for us individually to sit down and reflect. Is my effort in life having a positive impact, or is my effort in life having a negative impact? Am I putting good ripples out there, or are my ripples just depressing, shitty, sad? It's important. I think every single person that's been given life has an opportunity to make a difference. And I think if more of us realize that and live this kind of unselfish life, if more of us search for our purpose and really made an effort to figure out what it was, I truly believe this world would be a way better place than it is now, because the positive output, the positive energy output would just drown out the negative energy output. And in the end, I think that would make all the difference. If you're still listening, thank you. I greatly appreciate you coming along on this journey. Every time I sit on this microphone, I don't really have a general clue where I'm heading. I just have like a thought or a starting point, and I kind of just start there and I go from there. So if you're still here listening, thank you. I appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button. You'd be helping me out. It'd be greatly appreciated. If you liked what I said, didn't like what I said, didn't agree with what I said, or agree with what I said, whatever it is, if you have a comment, don't be shy. Tell me how you feel. If you liked it, you didn't like it, give me a thumbs up. If you liked the video, it'd be greatly appreciated. It helps out a lot. And again, be good, be kind, be great. Most importantly, be yourself. Much love. Stay savage.